With it now being Black History Month, you may be looking for films to celebrate Black history and to grow your understanding of the Black experience. Within the past decade, we've had plenty of great films by Black filmmakers that explore Black culture and history. On this episode of Movie Night, I'll discuss films and shows that delve into Black history and culture. H.P. Lovecraft is one of the greatest horror writers of all time. He created the Cthulhu mythos, an entire universe of stories about monsters who drive ordinary humans to insanity. However, his legacy is problematic due to his racist beliefs which seeped its way into his stories. So while his creatures were iconic, it was always tainted by his problematic views. Lovecraft Country, which can be found on HBO Max, attempts to take the works of Lovecraft and rework it in a more progressive narrative. Taking place during the Jim Crow era, Lovecraft Country follows Korean War veteran Atticus Freeman as he gets caught up in the conspiracies of an ancient cult. As we follow Atticus, we see him fight supernatural creatures, go to alternate dimensions, and even time travel. Lovecraft Country deconstructs the works of H.P. Lovecraft, but also many other narratives that excluded Black characters. The show explores a different genre in each episode, and while it keeps the show fresh and interesting, the main purpose of this storytelling mechanic is to include Black voices in stories that were rarely included in. They do all this while showing the horrors of being Black in the Jim Crow era. The existential horror of the Lovecraftian monsters is expertly juxtaposed with the everyday horrors African Americans faced while living during that time. What happens when you get some of the most iconic figures in Black history in one room for one night? You get a night filled with fantastic conversations about their role in the civil rights movement. Amazon Prime's One Night in Miami depicts the night that Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, Jim Brown, and Muhammad Ali all spent a night in Miami. Coming off Ali winning the heavyweight championship, the four figures all meet in one room to discuss the influence they have in the country. The film is originally based off a play written by Kemp Powers, and you can tell since the majority of the film takes place in one location and is driven by the dialogue and performances. Luckily, every single actor is incredible in this film. The important thing to understand about the film is that each figure influenced Black culture in different ways. Each of them have a powerful legacy that is felt to this day, and when we see them discuss their roles in the civil rights movement, we see how their ideologies clash. None of them are wrong, but the discussions they have are intriguing to watch and are still relevant 60 years later. The most obvious standout is Kingsley Ben-Adir as Malcolm X. The most iconic depiction of X is the performance by Denzel Washington, which is stoic and militant, but Adir is surprisingly more sensitive and vulnerable. It veers off from what we expect from Malcolm X and is a refreshing depiction. With Sorry to Bother You, you're in for a wild ride. Directed by Boots Riley from the musical group The Coup, Sorry to Bother You is a multi-layered film about Black people in the work environment and the power that corporations have. Sorry to Bother You follows Cassie's Green as he gets a job as a telemarketer. He eventually learns that in order to get more money, he has to put on a performative white voice in order to trick his sellers into thinking he's white and convince them to buy his product. As he does this, he gets higher positions within the company he works for, and he has to question how much he's willing to compromise his own morals and identity. This film is a satire of code switching, which people of color do regularly in the workplace to hide their accents and sound more professional. While this is a film with a strong political message, what makes it such a great watch is how much fun this movie is. Boots Riley has a kinetic style that keeps this movie fast-paced and funny. You can find Sorry to Bother You on Hulu. Netflix's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom explores one of the most prominent jazz musicians and the troubles she faces in the music industry. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom explores how Black musicians grapple with white people using them for entertainment while still discriminating against them. Viola Davis gives a powerful performance, portraying Ma Rainey as a force to be reckoned with. Throughout the film, she stands tall and demands your attention. This film was also one of the last performances of the late Chadwick Boseman, and he gives one of the best performances of his career. Chadwick Boseman as Levy has the most tragic story in the film, and his performance gives the character all the nuance that is needed. So there you have it, a list of films that dive into Black history and culture. Make sure you join us next time on Movie Night when you're looking for your next binge watch.